Welcome to Secrets from the Scene, a show for local musicians who want to improve their music, grow their audience, and learn about Minnesota's music scene. If you're interested in talking about all things music related and meeting interesting people from our local community, you're in the right place. Welcome to Secrets from the Scene. My name is Stephen Helvig, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we've got another great local guest, Chadwick Niles Phillips. We're going to talk about his company, the Avant Garde. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I really appreciate it. If you're a repeat listener, even more thanks. This podcast is all about the Minnesota music scene. We talk specifically about every element that makes up the scene. So obviously all the musicians and artists that are out there performing, but also the engineers and producers in the studios, the publicists, the booking agents, the venue owners, and so many more people that make this whole scene what it is today, which I'm super proud of. The goal of this podcast is to just basically shed light on the cool people and places and companies that make up the scene, but then to also educate to some extent to, maybe talk about topics that everybody can relate to or struggles with, like self-promotion, booking shows, the recording experience, sync licensing, and so much more. Today's episode, we're going to be talking with Chadwick Niles Phillips, who owns the Avant Garde and ultimately does a lot of different things, which you'll hear about. But at the heart of the Avant Garde, there are things like events and promotion, there's youth education, and then there's consulting and management. So there's a lot here to digest. I'm excited to get to know Chadwick better. But first, I'm going to read his bio, and then we'll dive into this week's episode. Chadwick Niles Phillips is the CEO founder of the Avant Garde LLC. Originally from Lansing, Michigan, and son of the legendary jazz and symphony orchestra bassist Sam Gill, Chadwick is a Renaissance man with a resume that includes hip-hop artist, director, producer, actor, host, motivational speaker, and teacher. After graduating from Michigan State University, Chadwick moved to New York City to pursue a career in music, film, and education. Upon arriving in New York in 2006, he won the Who's Next Hot 97 talent search, which enabled him to release a single on a major label. He then won the Harlem Rapathon contest, performed in Hot 97 Summer Jam, opened up for artists like Talib Kweli, KRS-One, Raekwon of Wu-Tang, and others. He's worked in film for BET News, CBS, MTV, and as a production assistant for major movies in the New York City Fashion Week. Upon moving to the Twin Cities, he hosted the legendary Poets Groove open mic in Minneapolis for 2.5 years, along with many, many high-profile events throughout the Twin Cities. He's also created an educational curriculum entitled Hip Hop, History, and the Arts, and started teaching it at schools all around the Twin Cities. Please welcome Chadwick Niles Phillips.
Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Thanks for being here.
For sure.
I appreciate you making time for this, man.
Indeed. Thank you. Yes.
First question. Do you prefer Niles? Do you prefer Chadwick?
Niles is the artist that performs, and Chadwick is just...
You.
Exactly. So, However you feel, Niles or Chadwick.
Got it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the differentiation was, but, you've used both on platforms a lot.
Yeah.
From, I've discovered you on Instagram, so I was always like, I'm not sure.
Right.
Where did Niles come from?
Niles came from, so my artist name used to be Alias.
Okay.
And when I moved to New York, I won the Who's Next talent search. So it came down to, okay, I need just like a whole new element when it comes down to how I present myself, because it's like a higher level now. So after I won the talent show, I changed it to Niles,
Got it.
That's how the name came about.
And that's how you released your first single? It was under Niles?
Under Niles, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much music have you released since then?
Since then, I released my debut album, To Remain.
Okay.
In 2018.
Nice.
Yeah. And some miscellaneous features as well. Most notably with Sam Barsh, who is a Grammy Award-winning pianist and producer. I used to be a part of a band collective with him.
Nice.
So he's produced on Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly album. He's worked with Anderson .Paak and so many others. So he came out with an EP that was dedicated to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And so I was featured on that, and so many other features, but most notably my album, To Remain.
I mean, that's super impressive, and everything on your bio is super impressive. You've done so many different things. I mean, I think the Renaissance man attribute is well justified in this case. What year did you move from New York back to Minneapolis then?
I moved to Minneapolis in 2010.
Okay. So you've been here for 14 years since then.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's start with, I want to get into the Avant Garde, but let's just talk a little bit about your history. Give people a quick background of, you're from Lansing, growing up, maybe a little bit on your dad, that sort of thing, your musical background.
Growing up in Lansing was amazing. It was during the 90s. Where it was just like this explosion of just music, culture, art. My older brother, he was like the crisscross of Lansing. He was 12 years old and they released a single called Rollin'. He did a commercial for the shoe company. So I was like 9 watching him do his thing. And he had these turntables. His name is Phillips. He owns a film company now in Miami called So Gorilla Film. Shout outs to my brother. We call him Butch. But watching him really inspired me,
Of course.
That's the time when Wu-Tang first came out, when Pharcyde, Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest, Lords of the Underground. That was like a renaissance period for my childhood. And connecting with the energy of hip-hop, R&B, soul, and just music in general, all the way to rock and roll, So that was the genesis of my curiosity when it came down to music, and it just started to build. And I was an athlete as well. I went to states for track and field. I lived here my last year of high school. I went to states for 104x1 Park Center. So I was a hooper, all that. But then watching my brother inspired me to want to become an artist. As far as my father, I met him right before college, So I found out about all of the legendary things regarding him. He's the longest tenured African-American in the United States Symphony Orchestra, 48 years. I have a picture of him performing with Thelonious Monk in like 1952, came up with Miles Davis. So meeting him, it really connected with all the things about me that came naturally, So shout outs to Sam Gill and my family, the Gills in New York.
Yeah, wow. Did you study music? Were you learning instruments, or was it always just sort of?
It came so naturally, because when I teach my youth, I tell them whatever hobby that you love and whatever things come naturally, that could potentially become like your career as an adult, Like if someone can run fast, they could potentially become an athlete. If someone has culinary skills that they just naturally formulate as a kid,
Sure.
that grows into a passion that you could potentially grow into a career. So with me, I was able to memorize songs within the snap of a finger after like one time hearing them, Or I had a thirst to know that song.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would sit down and just play it back and forth on the tape cassette until I memorized it. So that curiosity and that natural ability to just memorize songs or memorize melodies and harmonies without even being told, that ability made me want to potentially become an artist.
Yeah. So I know that, from the bio, at least, it seems like the first big music thing is moving to New York, winning a talent show. But what were you doing in music, let's say in college? You go to Michigan State University, you get a degree. The degree is in communications rather than music, of course. So Were you performing? Were you writing during those times?
Most definitely. Actually, when I first went to college, that's when The College Dropout came out by Kanye West. And everybody was telling me, bro, like, what do you need this for? Because I was winning rap battles, winning talent shows. I was like one of the most likely to succeed in music from my town, Lansing, Michigan. Everybody was like, Alias is going to really do his thing, But education has always been a big thing to me. I come from an impoverished background where education was like almost my only way out,
Yeah.
So I'd be in gifted and talented class and then go back to whatever struggles we were facing.
Sure.
But when I found out that I could be able to get more opportunities just as a result of having good grades, that connected to what I wanted to do more.
Yeah.
Because that was what was going to really get me out. I mean, the art is one thing that's cool, but educating myself, not only can I apply this to my art, but I could apply this to every other aspect. And just being diverse has always been something that's been a major thing to me. So yeah, winning rap battles, winning talent shows. I won a talent show in Detroit that Big Tigger from Rap City hosted, and I actually came across Proof from D12, listening to Eminem way before he came out, hearing about him, So being surrounded by that within that time was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. But I promised my mom that I would graduate school, even though it was so many opportunities to drop out and just go after it.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm glad that I did that.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've used so much of that degree.
Oh my goodness.
Point.
Most definitely. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you moved to New York, things start happening. You get a single out, but like a lot of stories, for whatever reason, it doesn't continue on, right? You end up back in Minneapolis, which presumably is when you decide, hey, I want to use more of my skill set at this point. I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to become a CEO. You start the Avant Garde. What year did that all kick off?
Avant Garde got started in 2014. So I moved here, started working as a paraprofessional at Sojourner Truth Academy. During that, I started my program, Hip Hop History and the Arts, and I was teaching it after school there. And then as time went on, because I was still licking my chops, bro. When I moved here, I was like, it was painful.
Yeah, I imagine.
You go from that and it's a fall from grace. So I'd step out and I'd be like, well, where do the artists be at here?
Yeah.
You know? And I'd hear about the Poets Groove at the Blue Now, which is a legendary open mic. It's not around no more.
Yeah.
But so I go there and just, that is where I would like gain that happiness back when it came down to the art.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd go on stage and when I perform, everybody be like, who's he? But no one knew that I was on a major label before I moved here.
Sure.
So the talent's still radiating, but the situation's the situation. But it used to be hosted by the legendary artist Desdemona and Kevin Washington. And when Desdemona stopped, Kevin told me he wanted me to be the host. I've never hosted nothing like in my life. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I ended up doing it. And that was like the start of my coming of age in the Twin Cities. For 2.5 years, I did that. I've met so many different artists.
Yeah.
And as anything that's in progress, it's supposed to evolve. So within 2 years, I was like, I want to start my own company. And I was secretly planning that. In 2014, December 13th, was the launch of the Avant Garde production company. I don't know if you remember Bedlam Lower Town in St. Paul, but that's where we had it at. And the rest is history. Yeah.
Let's talk about the different things that the Avant Garde does today. Interesting to know that it started ultimately with the youth education being the first thing that...
Yeah, that started before the Avant Garde, yeah.
Now, to me, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like one of the big tiers is the promotions and events.
Thank you.
Ultimately.
I appreciate that.
I think that's how I first started seeing your name show up all the time, because it'd be other artists that I've worked with or have had on the podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
Playing a cool event, a festival, a show, and it's like hosted by you, put on by the Avant Garde.
Yeah.
And just seeing that over and over and over again.
Right.
Talk people through what an Avant Garde event looks like.
An Avant Garde event, all the nuances that a real music lover wants to experience when they step into a place is present. From the music that's being presented by the DJ that's carefully picked out, to the songs that's chosen, to the artist that's chosen. It's all like planned out, because it's really about knowing your crowd, Like, I picture myself as the person walking in. Like, if I was walking into an event, what would I want to connect with? That's how these events are planned out. But it's going to be soulful music. It's going to be an uplifting, positive vibe. It's going to be eclectic. It's going to be cultured. But it's going to be raw too, because I like to see when people get up, vibe out, dance, they're kicking it back with a loved one, all of that stuff. Like, that's what it's about. So when you leave, you're inspired. You're on a natural high,
Yeah.
And it's a service too, like when it comes down to leisure and entertainment, that's a powerful position to be in, to provide that.
Yeah.
So how am I putting this together? What memories am I providing? So that's what it's about. You have the event, but what's the aftermath? The aftermath is what's going to bring them back.
Yeah.
Because they have the memory of something that was amazing. So
it's critical for anybody that's hosting an event to think about, what does the audience want? What's in it for them? What are they getting out of this, instead of just what kind of event do I want to put on?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, a couple things just to state the obvious for anybody that doesn't know or isn't aware of any of these things. These events typically are centered around R&B, neo soul kind of artists, right?
Yeah.
There's other stuff, but that's the center of it.
Yeah.
You've done a couple of the flagship events are on the One.
Yeah.
I think that's a yearly thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got Soul of the City.
Yeah.
Another yearly one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Vibe Out Suite.
Yeah.
Any others that I'm missing that are the...
Yeah, those are like 3 cornerstones of the Avant Garde. On the one is our annual music festival.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it the first 3 years, a third year being this year with the city of Bloomington.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been absolutely amazing the way it's been able to grow and catch traction. Soul of the Cities is a yearly event that we do in partnership with the Mill City Museum and the Mill City District. It's live painting, R&B neo-soul artists, live band, live instrumentation, amongst brick and mortar and glass aesthetic of the foyer that they have in the back of Mill City Museum. And the Vibe Out Suite is a mix, mingle, network, kick back, chill vibe joint that features some of the top artists as well. It has live painting, live band, and it's a great way for people to just connect, and listen to music that they love and just vibe out.
All those events are super cool. I think they're unique in the sense that you spotlight Black music, Black artists, and there aren't a lot of those in the cities. Definitely recommend everybody to check them out and to get in touch if you want to be a part of them. But the artists in the roster are incredible. I've said that before. It's super impressive. So for everybody to just go check out those events. Definitely.
I mean, music is an incredible force, because you have Black music, you have music of different genres, cultures, so to put on these events that, showcases artists of color is it's an important thing to me. Because like you said, you step out and there's not that many being presented, and that's really a part of the reason why I started the Avant Garde to, put a spotlight on Black music, in the Twin Cities. And then you look at the history. I mean, a lot of amazing Black artists come from here and set a global tone, from Prince, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. You have Next, you have Black Music America, Flight Time Productions. So I feel like this is a part of the latest element of the tradition of the Twin Cities Black music scene. So it's an honor. And shout out to the Twin Cities in general, man. This is a music town,
Yeah.
And we're all rocking no matter what color you are. We're all doing our thing.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, the other part is promotions, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just being hired to promote an event that's already happening, to throw your weight behind it.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I just think that having diverse avenues, it's a great thing, man, because you're able to utilize like all of your different gifts. Some gifts you didn't even know, like I wasn't doing this before I moved here. I was a hip hop artist, but it's other things that I didn't even know I had gifts in. But when I started tapping into them, those started monetizing even more than me as an artist, So I just want to tell everybody out there, like, utilize everything. You never know what'll stick when you throw it. But I will be hired to assist in promoting an event, to be an entertainment director. I was entertainment director for a lot of different festivals this summer.
What does that mean exactly?
Entertainment director means that you basically get hired to put together the entertainment outline, not just the entertainment as far as the artist, but behind the scenes, you have to confirm insurance for the event. You have to connect with your accountant. You have to write the checks. And if, when you have a legit business, you get, it's another level of expectation from who you're working with. So like the city will have you sign a document, because you're getting a lump sum that you have to like give to everybody. So it's like affidavits, for your business to be approved. So on one side, it is, of course, the artist. You choose the artist, you choose the DJ, you choose the vibe. And with my company, it's even like branding as well. So graphic designer would be like a part of it. So that's one side. But then behind the scenes, it's like business work.
Yeah, of course.
As well. So it's a balance of those two sides when you get hired as a entertainment director. Yeah.
What do you generally do on the promotion side? Like to promote
promotions, create flyers, commercials for the events, strategize on which areas, demographics to radiate the promotion to, street team putting up posters. I always still believe in analog as much as everything's digital. I still believe in putting up posters. You never know who'll see that poster. You never know who'll see that flyer. And just going absolutely next level with promoting no matter what. Like once the word is out there, it's go time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure there's going to be some listeners that are like, this sounds great. I want to do this. I want to
Yeah.
be on the next lineup. How does a local artist contact you or, get on your radar to be a part of the next On the One festival?
Yeah, local artists can contact us at www.theavantgardeis.com. www.avantgardeis.com. That's a great way to contact us. We have a booking section.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get booked, you can go there and send us an inquiry. And, if you match what we're presenting, then you could get that call.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. What do you typically like to see in an inquiry? What should people include about themselves?
an EPK, number one, bio, contact information. If you don't have an EPK, still something where I could listen to your music videos, so on and so forth. Because when I started, I didn't have an EPK. I didn't even know what that was. And I had to be educated on what all those things were. So when I didn't have them, I still put together like an outline where I at least have links to YouTube footage and a couple of pictures that I attach and a bio.
Yes. And if you don't know what an EPK is, and you're listening to the same thing of like, I don't know what that is. What do I need to do? We do have a couple episodes on that you can go get that information. Episode, I think it's 28 is with David Ostrom, and that's packaging the pitch. So it's all about putting your EPK together and contacting a booking agent. And then more recently, we did Demystifying Music Publicists. So we touch on EPKs there, and that's episode 51 with Chris Devolinsky. So go check those out.
Yeah, that's great that you're spotlighting those things because that's very, very important.
Yeah.
When it comes down to an artist presentation and building their career and how they introduce themselves to bigger entities. So
yeah. Okay. So people to include a link to their music video if they've got it. That all might in a bio. That all might be in their EPK if they don't have one. But making sure that anything that you want to say, don't send me this. Is there anything that you're like that I don't like when I get these inquiries?
I think a presentation that's like sloppy.
Be professional.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell when someone didn't really put any thought into it.
Yeah.
Compared to somebody who did. So, and you can only make a first impression once because there's so many other artists that's trying to get that same spot as well. So just put your best foot forward. If it takes a little bit more time to put it together, that's going to make a big difference because you can only make a first impression once.
Let's take a minute to talk about our sponsor, Helvig Productions, which just so happens to be my studio. Are you a musician here in the Twin Cities, currently releasing music and ready to upgrade your sound? If you're tired of underwhelming recordings and want a polished, professional sound that gets people talking, we're here to help. We'll work with you to transform your next song into a production that feels impeccable, gets your friends singing along, and catches the attention of your soon-to-be new fans. And here's my guarantee. Give us 7 days to deliver a mix you love, or we'll keep working for free until you're 100% satisfied. If that sounds compelling, here's how it works. First, we'll start with a pre-production analysis where we focus on the core of everything, the songwriting and arrangement. We'll give you an honest, outside perspective to make sure your song is on track for the sound you want. And if it needs a few tweaks, we'll give you some tips and work with you to make improvements. If you want a deeper writing collaboration, we can bring in a specialized songwriter to assist. Either way, you keep full ownership of your music, no matter what. Once that's locked in, we'll jump into the professional recording and production process. This is where we capture the best performance of each part from start to finish. We'll handle everything from detailed recording to expert vocal production, editing, tuning, mixing, and mastering, plus all our best production assistants along the way. We've got top-notch gear, a great live room, and most importantly, over 15 years of experience helping artists get their best performances. This process has helped our clients build real fan bases and even land on Spotify playlists. We've got the results to back it up. Sharkoff built a fan base from scratch with over 99,000 YouTube subscribers and over 60 million views across platforms. Silver Warehouse got their very first single playlisted by Spotify, racking up over 3 million plays. Waltzing on Waves had a song from their debut album playlisted on Spotify, amassing 2 million plays. Ludwig landed sync deals with brands like Hyundai and shows like All American. And we've got over 80 5-star reviews on Google. So if that's all you need to hear and you're ready to chat, head to helvigproductions.com/let's-connect or click the link in our show notes. We'll have you fill out a quick questionnaire, and if we're not a match, we'll let you know up front. We only work with clients who are a strong fit for our strengths because we're not satisfied until you are. If this sounds good to you, click that link and let's get started. I'm excited to see what we can create together. So once an artist reaches out to you, they sent you their EPK, they've spent some time making this look professional, what should they expect from you?
Yeah, they could either expect a response, letting them know that we'd like to hear more music. Maybe we could set up a Zoom, to see who we're potentially going to feature. Or if that spot is already taken, they will get a response on that too. I think all in all, it's great to at the least respond, because that opens up another opportunity.
Yeah.
Because they had a good experience. It wasn't just like you didn't respond at all,
Sure.
Because I was in that same position as well. So I think it's always good to be courteous.
Yeah, be respectful.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you book somebody for an event, let's say they do make the next On the One festival for next summer or whenever it is, what do you expect from artists that perform at these events?
I expect the artist to be professional. To me, professionalism is even more than the craft. The professional side is what's going to supersede you. People are going to say that person's on time. Someone could be very talented, but not on time.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could be very talented, but submitting things late, So submit your material before or by the deadline that we need it. Because once an event is confirmed, it's like we're already starting to plan for the next On the One right now. You know? So when we add the artist, it's like have as much prepared as possible. And plus, have it ready before so you don't have to scramble at the last minute.
Yeah.
So being on time for meetings, rehearsals is very important. At the same time, when we get the information, because we're going to get your bio, your pictures, all that stuff, just have it like neatly set so we're understanding like where everything is at. Because we have vaults that we put these things into. We have like a picture vault. We have a video vault. We have a bio vault. And then my assistant will pull those out when it's time to promote those artists one by one. And plus, the photography side of artistry that's like a secret ingredient, that needs to be there. To the artist out there, make sure that you have photos from photo shoots that are high HD, not just from your phone and plus, as time goes, that picture that you took from 2018 is going to get grainier and grainier. So fresh pictures, because you never know, like a company, a corporation, institution, and business would need that picture for flyers, for promo, for advertisement. Yeah. So keep your photo game fresh, because you never know what those are going to be needed for.
I agree. Making sure that you do a photo shoot at least every other year.
Exactly.
Just to keep stuff current.
Yes.
And as high res as current standards demand. One little technical detail I'll throw out there, because I just see this a lot, which is a lot of people just don't understand file transfers and stuff. And so what they will do sometimes is just like text you a photo. And what'll happen automatically is that because you sent it via text, it'll reduce the quality size.
Totally.
And it'll look totally fine in that thumbnail in your text.
Yeah.
But then when it gets blown up into a poster, it looks pixelated.
Totally.
And the original version of it might have been perfectly fine. But because of how you transferred it, it lost quality. Now, that changes every year. Phones get better and better. Your phone camera can be amazing now with the new iPhone 16 Pro or whatever. Transferring stuff is easier. So, take this with a grain of salt. Depending on when you're listening to this, things might be totally fine. But the important thing is just to know what you're doing. If you're not sure, test stuff.
Yeah.
Before you send a link, make sure that link opens. Before you send a photo, send it to yourself and make sure it's still the same size.
Yeah,
you can do those things. Think ahead and make sure that what you're about to give to somebody that you want to impress actually works and works the way you think it does.
Yeah. And that was amazing. And to the artists out there, I can give you some aspects and components to solve those issues, because what you just said happens almost like subconsciously,
Yep.
Because it's like, I'm just going to send it, not even think about those apps. But
and they'll let me know if it's wrong. No.
Exactly. No. Yeah.
You should double check it yourself first.
So having a folder, and dumping everything in that folder, nothing loses pixelation when you dump everything in a folder. So I'll send a folder to the artist and just have them dump everything in there, But another option is WhatsApp. Have a WhatsApp account, because film and photography doesn't lose any resolution when things are sent through WhatsApp.
And even now, like new phones pretty much don't lose that at all. Like they have new codecs and stuff where it's really good. So again, like I said, take
or
this
airdropping.
Yeah.
AirDrop, WhatsApp, shared folder.
And if you listen to this in a year, there might be a new thing that we don't even know about.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's not really the point, like exactly how to do it. The point is just to understand that you need to know how these things work. You can't just assume that everything's perfect. So do some testing on your own and make sure it's good to go.
Yeah. And all that, just the more impressive you are in all aspects, the higher probability you'll get that next call.
100% agree.
And a lot of it has nothing to do with your artistry.
Yes.
Because some of the best artists lack in those.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a lot of talented artists out there.
Yeah.
So just because you're really good doesn't mean that that's going to make up for the fact that you might be poor at communication or poor at showing up on time. Somebody else can take your spot.
You just say that C word again?
Communication?
Bro. Like that right there is the biggest make or break. Communication, turnaround time. You know?
Yeah.
Knowing how to communicate. And then along with that, you know, emotions and business, separating the two. You know, when you're looking at the bigger picture, you know, you got to really choose, you know, which route to go down when it comes down to showing your emotions. But if you're the sailor of the ship, you have to get to the shore, no matter how heavy the winds are. Metaphorically speaking, to translate that, I mean, you know, situations will come up, but it's all about your patience. It's all about how you respond. It's still in your control until it's not, you know. But a lot of people, they go into their emotions because that makes them feel like, you know, strong in the situation when that's not the way to go. You have to really keep your cool, your poise, and just remain professional, you know?
Yes.
If things go another route, still remain professional.
Things will happen.
Yeah,
Problems
exactly.
will arise for sure. And miscommunication happens and misunderstandings happen.
Yeah.
The only thing we really, really can control is how we react to these things.
Exactly.
That's what you can always control. You cannot control if the weather's bad that day.
Totally.
You can not control if there was an accident on the highway and you're late or whatever. You know, some of these things happen and they're frustrating, but you can control your reaction to them.
Totally.
And how you're going to communicate through these.
Yeah, and sometimes it's you. And that's okay. You know, we're all human. We're all learning. I think the more that you look at yourself in those situations, especially if you're looking to be in a position of leadership, I think that's the first aspect of growth. When you look at yourself, even in situations where it's like, you know what, let me dig a little deeper. What did I lack, you know, in that situation? I think that's the better route to take than the other route, you know, because people who are successful in business, you know, they all had tests of their patience the higher they've gotten. And, you know, your reputation matters. Everybody's going to talk about how it was working with you. So always give those people a positive memory regardless of how it goes, you know.
Yeah, take responsibility for everything.
Totally.
For everything.
Totally. Because with that, you're growing regardless. And watch what you post. I mean, we can get into this, you know, because this is 2024.
Well, in a sense, I think this kind of, let's tie this into the sort of the next thing that you guys do, because we're already sort of transitioning into that, which is the consulting. You know, you and ultimately the education side of things too with the youth programs. I think a lot of the listeners are probably older than what the youth programs are designated for, since that's more in high schools and younger. Yeah. But it's
colleges too, like early adult. Yeah.
But it's all a part of it. So yeah, the consulting thing, these kind of conversations about how to be an entrepreneur ultimately.
Yeah.
How to be a professional and how to make your career a business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like the consulting side, I love because I'm like helping to build, you know, somebody's not just career, but helping to build them as a person too, you know. And as much as I'm known to be an artist, you know, it's so dope to be able to utilize like the humanitarian side of me, you know. Because on one side it's business, but on the other side it's like this person's opening up their career. Your career is your life, you know, and it's up to you to help them, to assist them, and to fill in some spaces that they probably don't even see needs to be filled. I take that as a high responsibility, and to see it grow to see them evolve as a result of that service, that's the biggest natural high, because it's like in an industry that has, I mean, in the music industry, you don't need to have a degree to be a CEO, you know? It's not that type of field where, you know, like as in the medical field, you have to have like a certain degree or an educate. Like you have people who are successful, you have people who are unsuccessful, it's like, how did that But at the end of the day, it comes down to you building your own. Now, when you get that team, if you're blessed enough to reach the level where you get the right people, now you have a cohesive unit and now you're growing. And that formulates into a business. And and I'm just speaking from experience. So, and that's the best part about this too, like, because I own the Avant Garde, but I'm an artist too. And even though I've evolved into what I'm doing, I still think like an artist when I'm dealing with an artist, you know, because I know what they're going through. In my highs and lows, I can speak from that perspective, you know. So I'm glad it's almost like a reverse effect, you know, because I had all these big things I did in New York. Then I moved here. I'm glad I had those experiences because I can always carry that with me whenever I'm speaking to an artist, you know?
Yeah.
And thank God that, you know, I became a success with it, because now, I mean, success, that's the end result. That's what's going to inspire people. That's what's going to motivate people. You can give someone advice, but it's like, what do you have to show for the advice that you're giving? You know what I mean? Just to be at this space is amazing. And I love music, bro. And I love entertainment, art, just being in that. And you have people who's not even able to get there too. Like with what you're doing, you know, somebody wanted to have a successful podcast like this. Things came up and they couldn't do it. So to be at this point, it's amazing, man. Yeah.
Walk people through what, like one example of, if somebody wanted to get a consulting session with you.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. Consulting session is number one. We sit down, I get to know you more. I get to know about what your endeavors are. And then I create an outline that's basically a goal within the next year, 2 or 3. Where do you see yourself? What are some difficulties that needs to be improved? Not just artist-wise, but even like life-wise too. Because the life stuff could spill into the career stuff, you know?
Well, we're entrepreneurs. Our life is our business in a lot of sense.
Exactly. Yeah, the clock never stops. Yeah. You know, you just take a break when you're an entrepreneur. Along with that, we look at your target market. A lot of people are just releasing music and not, like, you have the nucleus, then you have everything else. Mm-hmm. What's your nucleus? What's your target market? What kind of people will relate with the music that you release? And you'd be surprised at, if you look at not just the type of music that people are into, but what other aspects that people are into that relate with what you're going to present. Who is that target market? So you have people who love a certain type of music. So people who like conscious music, right? Probably like other things that has to do with utilizing thought, you know? Mm-hmm. What are those categories? So you're going to release music not to just people who's into music, but into other categories that connect with that kind of music. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because the broader you cast your net, the more fish you'll get, you know? It could be somebody who likes reading books, you know, that bring thought, but they like this song by Common because Common is a conscious artist. So we look at all of those different aspects and then utilize a plan and focus on how to present themselves to. We look at the branding side. You have artists who need to make certain shifts in how they brand themselves. So it's a full package. And then we go out and put it to the test.
How long do these last? Like, is it one sit down session and then it's done, hands off? Or is this like a series of meetings?
You have people who need just information that they could package for themselves, okay, and then they're out. And then you have people who need like a full plan. So it varies. It depends on what the artist needs, you know. But a lot of artists are either struggling or trying to figure out how to make money with their art. The ones who need the consulting are usually in that situation, you know? So even part of it is like helping. And a lot of artists too want, if they do have a job, they want to do something that's going to feed what they're trying to do with the music, you know? Okay. Yep. So helping you get a job that connects with what you're already doing. So all of these nuances connect when it comes down to the consult. But that's for the artist side. But then there's business consulting, so on and so forth. So
How does the business consult? Like, who's a typical client for the business consulting?
Typical client for the business consulting could be an upstarting business. They would want to know, can they expand their brand? They would want to know who are some resources, how to reach those resources that are either locally, nationally, or globally. Along with that, starting an LLC, which places, which environments, conferences to be at. So some of this is research that I'll do, and then I'll bring them back what I researched.
Sure.
So they have those options.
Got it. The last tier that we've brought up a few times of the Avant Garde, but never really discussed fully, is the youth education stuff, even though that was the first thing that kind of kicked this off. How many of these are you doing? Like, how much teaching are you doing every year?
So Hip Hop History and the Arts is the youth program, and I started it in 2012. Shout out to Chris Kaziro. I didn't even think of teaching until I was a part of his program called the Hip Hop Project in Brooklyn. It was a film that got directed and produced by Bruce Willis and Queen Latifah. And that showed me that you can create a curriculum of your own. So moved here, started it, and it just rapidly started to grow. I've been able to teach in over 50 schools, so many schools from public to charter, from North High School to Fair School downtown to high school for recording arts, Eastham Middle School, so many others. I'm an artist in residence right now with Walker West Academy. Shout outs to Walker West. And it just continues to grow. But right now, I'm amongst elevating it into a curriculum that's implemented in schools where we're selling the booklet and selling the curriculum.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and having other people teach it. Like, I did teach a hip-hop pedagogy presentation to St. Paul Public School District at Washington Tech. This is almost like 6 years ago. So it's like returning to that and having teachers teach it and selling the curriculum
to
different districts, nationally, locally, and globally. So that's a transition that we're going through right now.
How's your time divided up between events, between youth education, between consulting, managing, that sort of thing?
It's my life, That's why I want to let everybody know, like, if you're blessed and lucky enough, because anything can happen, to do what you love. It's an amazing thing, because this is just my philosophy. It's like time doesn't exist. When I'm doing what I love, I'm able to do it at all times. But with saying that, disciplining yourself and time management and aligning the times is very, very important, And I have the capacity to do all these different things. I'm just thankful that I'm able to do it. Yeah.
So how does your time or your energy divide up between these three branches? Like, where does most of the concentration go?
Most of the concentration goes towards the event planning, the entertainment directing.
Okay.
Because these days I get inquiries sent to me. And right when I get it, I have to start. Well, first of all, I have to agree to do it. But after that, I have to start planning. And there's so many different dynamics that goes into that, contacting the musicians, contacting the artist, getting W-9s, sending out contracts, speaking with the program director
of course.
Whichever business institution the program contacts me. Mm-hmm. And all that takes time. And that's like on the Avant Garde side.
Yeah.
So these days, Avant Garde business, I'd say, is like 85%, and the teaching is 15%, when it used to be reversed.
Sure.
And actually in like the music entertainment business side of it, that could be way more difficult to just turn into an actual career. You see?
Oh, yeah.
Compared to if I'm just teaching and going to school by school.
100%.
Oh, yeah. So it's shifted, man, and it's been snowballing as well. As I said throughout this whole interview, I'm just highly thankful, because the youth aspect will always be in the details.
Yeah.
But one of my main goals was to grow the Avant Garde as a an enterprise, a cutting edge business in the music, entertainment, and arts industry.
Well, I mean, it certainly seems to be growing. I see it as part of bigger events all the time. The rosters, like I said, are really cool, and I encourage everybody to check out an event when it comes up. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I really appreciate your time coming here, meeting. Everything's been great. I think there's been a lot of great insight to be shared. One question that I ask every guest is, what is the secret you would like to share from the scene?
I just want to take this time to encourage every artist watching this. I know what you're going through. I know that you have endeavors. I know that you have dreams, goals. This is the career that you want to follow. I just want to say, number one, like, you only get like one life. And everybody that you look up to, everybody that you admire was in the same position that you're in right now. You have to believe. You have to believe. You have to work hard, but you have to work smart. The harder you work, the more smarter you'll get as you work. And then it will all come together for you. But just continue to believe. And whatever advice was given in this, please take it seriously, because it's gonna make you elevate. And if you're really put here for this, if you're really put on this earth to do this, then it will come to pass. And it's all in your hands. It's not in nobody else's hands. Your gift, your dream, your passion, that belongs to you. Everything that you see that has been invented, whoever did that, those people was just like you. They just believed and they never gave up and they kept going. So I believe in you. I believe in you. Keep doing your thing.
For everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much for giving us your time. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please like, subscribe, share with a friend, do all of that. It makes a big difference to the podcast. And we'll see you next week.